All right, folks, I understand we are broadcasting now to Mr. and Mrs. America and all the ships at sea. So we're ready to convene. I think that was how Walter Winchell started his radio program. Walter Winchell.
I just did that. I know it.
Yes, yes. Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America and all the ships at sea. So anyway, with that, we'll call the meeting to order. Commissioner Meeks will lead us in the invocation, and then the treasurer, Shelley White, will do the pledge. If you're interested, please stand.
God, I pray that you bless us in this meeting and keep us, Lord. Make your face shine upon us and be gracious to us. I pray that we feel your presence during this meeting because you are with us wherever we go. I pray that this meeting focus upon you and your plans for us in the body of believers. Amen.
Amen. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Bell,
Here.
Curran,
Present.
Freeling,
Present.
Harrison,
Present.
Hinkleman,
Here.
Majerick, Meeks,
Here.
Scott,
Here.
Walrath,
Here.
Werfel,
Here.
Yarborough,
Present.
Elliott.
Here.
Mr. Chair, you have 12 present.
Thank you. The minutes were sent out, I think, on Monday. Haven't heard about any changes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as prepared by the clerk? Moved by Freeling. Is there support? Supported by Meeks. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Still in that virtual mode where we had to roll call everything. Madam Clerk, you have communications?
Yes, you received one communication, a resolution from Wicksford County Board of Commissioners opposing Michigan Secretary of State by appointment only, received on July 14th. That's all.
Thank you. We'll take public comments concerning resolutions, and I would note that we have a added resolution, C2107283, which is on the back side of the agenda.
You want to move it? You want to ask someone? Or do we need to move it into the?
Well, when we get to the consent calendar, we will. Thanks. Hearing no comments about agenda items, could have a motion and support to approve the consent calendar, including C2107283, but excluding the resolution ending in 271, which is being pulled for further discussion. That complicated enough? Is there a motion? Moved by Freeling. Is there support?
I'll support.
Just a reminder, use your microphones.
Supported by Curran. And again, this does not include P2107271, which is the Health Department fee schedule resolution, but it does include the one authorizing the administrator to submit a vote on the pharma settlement for class 4 class members, which would be us. Any conversation to have about the consent calendar? Pardon? Well, there wasn't any. We don't have to wait any longer for people to chime in on YouTube. So there was no public comment. Any discussion on the consent calendar? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Curran,
Yes.
Freeling,
Yes.
Harrison,
Yes.
Hinkleman,
Yes.
Majerick,
Yes.
Meeks,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Allred.
Affirmative.
Werfel.
Yes.
Yarborough.
Yes.
Bell.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes,
Mr. Chair, you have 12 yeas.
thank you. Let's get a motion and support for 271 so that we can open that one up for discussion.
So moved.
Moved by Scott, supported by Bell. Discussion. Ezra?
Yeah, I'm gonna defer to Bob. Can you explain this to me, please?
Sure.
I got home 11:30 last night, and that's when I got this. And I figured you didn't want me calling you and waking you up at 11:30 to explain the
I
resolution.
appreciate your thoughtfulness.
Just saying.
The,
did actually want me to do that.
Yeah. No, I'm not going with that, Bob. Go ahead.
so each year the county board approves the fee schedule for the health department. And so we last did that in January of this year for the calendar year 2021. So what was not on there were the fees for administrative fees for the COVID vaccines. So at that point in time, it was just Pfizer and Moderna. And since then, J&J has been added as one of the vaccines that the federal government gives us for administration. And so much like with the other vaccines, the county health department does charge an administration fee, much like other practitioners, be it Walgreens, physicians, or the like. They'll also charge you for the cost of the vaccine as well as administration fees. So what they're adding to, the health department's proposing to do is add to their fee schedule the administrative cost for the COVID vaccines, the 3 that are currently approved. This only applies to individuals who come in with some type of health coverage. If an individual presents themselves with no insurance, they are not charged anything given the COVID situation. So this would only be applied to individuals with private or governmental sponsored insurance. And so they're just modifying their fee schedule to incorporate the administrative fees for dispensing the COVID related vaccines. So does that answer the question?
Yeah, I've got some comments on that though that are concerning to me. A lot of what we do in our job is fiscal responsibility with the taxpayers' money and grant funding and everything that we get. The other thing is perception within the county of the taxpayers and what we do as a board. And what I'm having and struggling with here is the fact that the COVID vaccines are free to us. And we have received millions of dollars in CARES Act funding. So I do not see the necessity to charge insurance companies for a $40 admit fee when we've already got money in for that. We've got money to use for COVID related issues in the county. From the state and from the federal government. So I think we should be using that money for these admit fees, especially now. Now, if this comes later on in 2022 or 2023, and there has to be shots and boosters like a flu vaccine, then I could see that. But I can't see adding it to a 2021 fiscal year when we've received these shots for free and we've received COVID money. I think we should be using that. I think it sends out the wrong message to the taxpayers. And then what do we do with all of the shots that we have given? Do we go back and do we backdate those for the people that we know we have insurance?
Well, at this point in time, we've not charged anything to anyone.
Right.
And so there would be no intent to go back and do that because frankly, we did not collect, the health department did not collect any of the billing information. So
Okay.
This would put this into the context of the normal service rules that the health department operates on for other vaccines that they give. So I think they're being diligent in trying to bring this in line with what they do on the normal course of business. and recognizing that, I think everyone's concerned about the cost of the COVID vaccine, as well as what will happen in the future. So they're just going through the process of being ready.
And I appreciate that, but I cannot support something when we've received state and federal tax dollars for COVID relief. That money should be used for that. And we shouldn't be, in my opinion, we shouldn't be running it through as an admit fee to charge to an insurance company. Because in my opinion is that the more insurance companies get charged, their rates are going to go up, and their rates are going to go up for everybody across the board. It's like a fraud situation with a credit card. The companies aren't eating that. It gets passed around to everybody through the corporations and that. So that's my only problem that I have with it. I think that we've accepted this money from COVID. And I thought we were very diligent in sending that money to where it needed to go to for COVID-related issues here in Berrien County. So I would have to imagine, and then with all the grant programs and the grant funding that the health department has got, I just can't support charging insurance companies $40 when we've already gotten money for it from the federal government. That's all. Thank you.
Mac? I support it. It's just that we've had 7 months. Everybody's had the opportunity. Everybody's known it's free. Go in and get it. Had opportunities for 7 months to go in and get it. And I think if now the health department can charge the, insurance companies for it, it's the free stuff has to stop somewhere. And we've got money that's got to be spent. We've got a lot of unknowns, expenses coming up, things that we don't even know we got as far as COVID is concerned, and the monies that we're going to need. So I think the health department is doing the right thing.
Any other questions? Julie?
Yeah, I agree with Ezra, and I believe next week we're going to have a resolution accepting additional monies for the COVID vaccine distribution. And then further, we're also, as a state, not a county and a state, we're having issues getting more people to get the vaccine. And this is going to provide one more layer of hindrance, if you will, because now when they come in, oh, and I need your insurance card also. Oh, wait a minute, well, now you're going to charge me and my insurance is going to go up or whatever. I think it's just going to add one more layer of hindrance to increase the vaccine population.
John?
Bob, when you guys discussed this, I mean, there's a pretty extensive radio campaign that's taken place at this point in time that is trying to encourage people to get it, so much so that they're giving away Super Bowl trip, they're giving away things, and they're trying to encourage people to get it. Do they feel that this will, what forbearance will this have on discouraging people from getting it if they have to step through that hoop now? If to Dave's point, I agree that they've given it for a long period of time now, and at some point in time they need to step up and say we need to go through this. But how does it work now when they're trying to say, they're giving away trips and now, but we're going to charge an administration fee? There seems to be just some self-combatants there on what they're trying to accomplish, to charge for it, and yet to say that. And they said, the radio campaign says pretty specifically there's side effects to the vaccine, and the side effects are free stuff, trips to the Super Bowl and that kind of thing. So it seems somewhat like they're at odds with themselves about trying to decide what's the right thing and the wrong thing to do.
Well, I think we're in a period now with people that are reluctant to get the vaccine can't point to unavailability. I mean, you can walk into Myers, you can go out to the health department. So there's pretty widespread availability wherever you go. I think the question then becomes, at what point in time do you put the COVID vaccine administration into the normal course of business? And some people are saying now that we're going to be in a period where you're not just going to get the flu shot, you're going to get a COVID shot too, or that the drug makers will combine them into it. And so I compliment the health department staff we're trying to move this into the normal function of life in the future. And so we've always been very concerned about the level of grant funds that they get and how we're afraid that at some point in time, the grant funds will go away and we'll have to lay people off. And so part of that process to prevent that from happening is that they start to charge for the administrative fee in this case. And so they're trying to move it into the normal course of business. And I think your points are all very well made. They're more of a policy aspect than the normal course of business that we're not, really watching all that close. So I think you're good points. So I would defer to the board's collective wisdom.
Mac, one other thing that was.
Michael and then
Michael.
Ezra.
Yeah, I just want to point out, and everybody's been very vigilant in putting their opinions, but this is an ongoing process. 15 years ago, it might have been $15 for every shot charged to insurance. Maybe last year, it might have been $36. They're just bumping it up to $40. This covers flu shots, tuberculosis, mumps, any other kind of shot they're giving. It's just not narrowed down to COVID. It's just bumping it up a little bit. Now, if the COVID shot is free, which it is right now, it will always be free. They're not going to charge insurance companies $40 just because we signed this today. This is just saying if somebody comes in, it's not free any longer, and people can't afford it, it's going to be free. Even all the other shots are free. But this one is just when moving forward, they're raising it from, and I do not remember the previous amount, $36, just raising it to $40 on an ongoing process. We have never made money at the health department, and we probably never will, but we at least cover our costs moving forward in the future. And I don't think we got millions at the health department.
The CARES Act was 1.8 million spread across Berrien County.
1.8 million?
Not mental health department.
Ezra, do you have something else? And then we're going to go to Jim and then we're going to call the question.
Yeah, the one thing is that Bob, I'm glad you brought that up. I understand the running of the health department. We have a budget. Our budget was set. COVID hit. There's a lot of little things that are blaming on COVID. Well, this and that, and this and that, but it is a real thing. And I get that. We, as a board, authorized the hiring of 10 people out at the health department, increasing their staff. Those people were hired with the understanding that if the grant funding leaves, their jobs are gone. They don't work at the health department anymore. What I don't want to see that taken out of context of what you said, because this isn't really to fund that. Those are already on a separate grant program. This is just, we have a fee schedule set up for other inoculations. I think, what was the flu vaccine, $10, if I'm not mistaken? Right, yeah, it was like $10 or something. I just think that we've already received money. That's my spiel. We've already received the money to handle this, and I think that's what we should do. Later on, next year, if we don't, then we should revisit that.
Jim.
Thanks, Mac. After hearing the discussion right now, I'm kind of taken to not supporting it. Is there a way we could delay this? Because I think there's some good points here, Bob, that, we're still trying to encourage people to get these vaccines. And this is COVID specific. I mean, if you notice in that fee schedule, there's 2 lines that's specifically for the COVID. Is there a way we could delay this? Because like John pointed out, the advertising message is they're still trying to encourage people to come in. And if we say, well, yeah, come in, you might win a Super Bowl ticket, but we're going to charge you $40, that could be the disincentive. And I understand that if they don't have the ability to pay, they're not gonna pay that $40 anyway. But I don't think most people understand that or realize that. So I guess my question is, could this be delayed? Do we have to impose it right now?
May I make a motion?
Before you do, if you wouldn't mind, let's get an answer to that question if we have one.
Are you asking if it could be adopted today with the the date that the fee becomes effective is delayed until a certain date, maybe like the end of the calendar year? Is that where you're?
Yeah, I'm not opposed to the fee. I understand going forward.
Mhm.
But I think that perceptually, we are not totally over this yet. And that we still want people to come in and get vaccinated who have not been vaccinated to this point. And I don't want that $40 to be a disincentive to do that. So in other words, okay, we're still gonna do the $40 COVID fee, but it won't be effective until October 1st or December 1st, until we have well gotten past this period.
To the board, if there's a general desire to table the resolution in its current format, it would give staff time to bring it back to you next week with an effective date to be delayed. I think it's pretty simple to rewrite this with an effective date of, say, January 1, 2022. That would allow for us to get through the fall. It allows for the potential of the Delta variant. We can navigate those waters and then still have action completed on this.
I think that's an outstanding idea.
I would like to make a motion.
Well, don't you already have a motion on the floor? We have to do something with that first before it can be tabled, correct?
Annette?
So, well, you're gonna revisit the fee schedule at the end of the year anyway, that's when you normally do it, right? So,
I can't hear.
I think maybe, oh, sorry, there I go, that's how I'm rolling.
We hear.
Sorry. Okay, there we go. So you're going to revisit the fee schedule every year. You did the last one last December. So it's very likely that we could just wait until we do the full fee schedule again at the end of the year when they look at all of their fees, and then we could add them. And then if that's what you're interested in doing, is waiting until like the end of the year.
But I think my question is,
So to the members of the board, if there's a desire to table this, to bring it back with an effective date that's pushed for the fall, that's certainly an option. As Annette just noted, this is going to be back in front of you at the beginning of the new calendar year. So you've got a couple of options. Immediately, you could adopt in its current format. It appears that there's likely to be a split vote. If there's a desire to amend the motion that's on the table to table this action and bring it back to you with a revised date of effectiveness, that's something that we could certainly look to do. I'm going to pull a date out of the air. I can just make it for late fall to allow for some coverage in the current calendar year, or if the board is desirous of just waiting until the start of the new calendar year, that's certainly an option.
I like the idea just because the people that haven't gotten it now, most of them, the very high percentage have done it consciously not getting it. They don't want to get it, they're not going to get it. And some of them, the ones that are still on the fence a little bit, I mean, we can give them a few months, say, this is your opportunity now. If you still want to get it for free, give them that opportunity, or, this is when we're going to start charging. I mean, this doesn't just start it right now. This gives them a little opportunity, but most of the people have made a conscious decision. I don't want it. And that's why the numbers have stopped, and pretty much it's not because of opportunity to get the shot, because any grocery store you go into now, they ask you if you got a shot, and if you didn't, they'll give it to you. So, I mean, I'd be in favor of giving them some time and then letting the public know this is our plan.
All right, a motion to table will override a pending, even though we have a motion in support on 271, a motion to table will override that. So if there's a motion to table this to, say, the first Thursday in October, that should provide sufficient time for all this to be dealt with, all the dust will settle. Is there a motion to table Resolution 271 for further action on the first Thursday in October?
So
I would
moved.
like to do that.
Okay.
Okay, the
Maybe.
vote is without discussion. Will the clerk please call the roll? It was moved by Scott, or moved by Yarborough, supported by Scott.
Freely,
Yes.
Harrison,
Yes.
Engelmann,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Neat,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Holland,
Yes.
Worthel,
Yes.
Yarborough,
Yes.
Bell,
Yes.
Curran,
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 12 yeas.
Okay, 271 is tabled to the first week of October. And when it comes back, instead of being 2107, it will be 2110 something, to signify the year 21, the month 10, October. So it'll come back in 3 months. Yeah. That's it for the resolutions. Committee reports. Jim, you want to lead off?
Yeah, thank you, Matt. The one resolution that we approved on today's consent calendar had to do with the opioid lawsuit. If everybody's aware that, we got on board to that early on in the process and joined the lawsuit against that Purdue Pharma. And as a result of the settlement, thanks, Ned. There is a proposed settlement on the table. And so the attorneys who are basically representing us, as well as our local attorney, Brian Conybeare, Barry Conybeare. Yeah, there we go. They've all recommended that we do, yeah, that we do approve this proposed settlement. It still has a lot of hoops to jump through, but basically, because this company is such a global company and they have the ability to hide all their money, this is a good way to settle it because right after the lawsuit, the company as well as the family filed bankruptcy to try to protect themselves from this lawsuit. So part of this settlement is where the Sackler family, who actually own Purdue Pharma, they're going to put in about $4 billion of their own money, which doesn't sound like a lot to them, but in the overall picture. So anyway, also as part of this settlement, each state is getting a percentage of the settlement. Michigan is getting 3.4% of the settlement. And again, we really don't know the exact dollar amount that settlement is going to be. But 3.4% of that will go to the state of Michigan because we're involved. We're going to get a percentage of that. Exact dollar amounts, we don't know. You talk about $4 to $6 billion. That sounds like a lot of money, but we don't know how many litigants there are. Because we're talking globally. And they've got this divided into classes. There's I think 7 or 8 different classes. And we're in class 4, which are governments. So you can just imagine how many other entities are suing and are involved in this lawsuit. So that was the reason for the resolution. We needed to get that to them so that hopefully us and all the other litigants will vote yes, and we can move this thing forward and maybe eventually see a settlement. Any questions on that? Okay, then the next thing we did is we will have a resolution for you at our next meeting. It's the trial court. They are requesting a grant application for PA2 funding through SWEMBA. One is in the amount of $48,280.24. That is a match, so we will match that. That is for an intake assessment coordinator. And the other grant request is for $15,000, and that is for drug testing supplies, and there is no match for that. So you will have that at our next meeting. And we approved our minutes, and that was it. Pretty short meeting. That's our report.
Any questions for admin? All right, finance.
Thank
ma'am.
you. We accepted our minutes. We signed a bill payment. We also, our administrator just said, came in and talked to us about the opioid settlement, and we signed that, and that was the end of our meeting.
Okay,
Anything else that we did?
We did talk a lot about the agriculture and about the issues that we do definitely need to address at some point in time. And I think it's as soon as possible, the farm machinery on the roads.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
We also signed a resolution that will come before the board next week, engaging additional service from Merit, taking the survey study and putting it in a readable sort of format for our GIS, and being able to take the data that we've collected and make some cases for those areas that may prioritize itself in broadband efforts.
Thank you.
okay. Any questions for finance? In light of all those questions, we will go to PHS. Bob?
So thank you, Mr. Chairman. We also met today, approved our minutes, approved an advanced step hire for the health department, as well as approved a pension rollover and refunds. The one difference in the normal refund rollover request related to a deceased employee and a payout to their designated survivor benefit. And so that was a little different than we've seen in the past. We also reviewed an amendment to the health department contract with the state of Michigan, and you'll see that on the 22nd. Again, the state is pushing more money out to the health department for specific activities. We also reviewed a proposed contract with Lisa Ackenbrook, former director of finance for the health department, where she'll be able to come back in and provide assistance during the budget development process for our new person there. Then also we discussed the opioid settlement with our administrator, Mr. Doucette. And that pretty much concluded our meeting.
Very good, thank you. Any questions for PHS? Hearing none, we'll go around the horn on commissioner reports. John? Terry?
This week I had the Berrien County Planning Commission meeting, and we kicked off the beginning of the work that we'll be doing with the contractor called Williams & Work for the county's master plan. And so what I would like to ask of the Board of Commissioners is one of the things that Williams & Works is doing is reaching out to different community leaders and municipality leaders and other areas of interest. And so if you have individuals that you think might be worthwhile for Williams & Works staff to speak with in the planning process, or if you have ideas for me to take back to the Planning Commission that you'd like to see in our upcoming master plan, please feel free to email me, call me, and let me know those individuals. Some of the areas that they had in the planning discussion for the master plan or economic development, green infrastructure, transportation, landscapes, agriculture, infrastructure, and housing. So if you'd be so kind as to put your thinking caps on who might be worthwhile to speak to. And then, of course, I mentioned it in the committee of the whole meeting, but I did go to a municipality meeting this week, and there was great discussion around broadband. And so I always bring that to the attention of this board. Thank you.
I want to talk about two things. First, I think the impact of the rollback of the metropolitan statistical area is a significant step forward for us. As years and years ago, I was a regional health planner, and the reliance on those types of governmental designations was really critical into formulating, in my case, health policy, but also with respects to money that comes to the region from both the state and federal government. And so the efforts of Dan Fetty and then also Al Pashoka, the Director of Government Relations at Connexus, both of them spent a lot of time calling and lobbying individuals to help get that rolled back. And also, Fred Upton and his efforts really do need to be acknowledged. Second is that tonight there's a redistricting meeting out at Lake Michigan College, and that I think those of us who are able to attend, it'd be a good idea just to see what the discussions are, hear what they're working on, and what the future might hold for us would be really important. And that would be all.
Thank you. Riante.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Last week I attended a meeting with our county administrator, as well as our county parks director and our sheriff. We talked about a few ways to mitigate the traffic congestion down at Silver Beach. We discussed things that will work, things that won't, and ultimately we hope to work with the city of St. Joseph to try to find ways to solve that issue. And also, I got word that there's a family that would like to sponsor ADA equipment, playground equipment for the new renovations done on the beach. So that's my report.
I have no report.
Report.
No report. I just want to let everybody know that the only thing that I really did, I didn't go to any committee meetings, but I fielded lots of calls from constituents dealing with roads. Everything that was dealt with, I've got a hold of Brian. I even went ahead and got a hold of Kevin Stack on an issue about the Walton Road Bridge that was brought to me and when that's going to be redone. And it was supposed to be done this year. It got pushed off till next year. But some of the things had to deal with utility companies putting their brush and tree stumps actually in the county ditch and not cleaning up their work that they were doing in the right of way. And Semco wouldn't answer any calls, so I met with the lady and nothing much we could do. I talked to Adrian Boone at the road department, and she said that it's really the gas company's deal. So I ended up giving the lady the phone number of the Public Service Commission, and she called them, and within 2 or 3 hours, the gas company ended up showing up and magically took all the brush out and reshaped the ditch and everything. So just mostly road issues. And I was going to mention the redistricting. I'm going, but I believe it starts at 5 o'clock. At 5 o'clock tonight. So.
Mamie.
Yes, I attended the picnic lunch for the Berrien County Health Department, volunteers and employees, and it was lovely. I thought there were, because there were people outside and I went inside, and that's where all the desserts were. And people, a lot of people, and they just seemed to really enjoy it. You could see staff sitting with volunteers and all, and so that was a wonderful thing to do. And the food was done by Diallo's. I was pleased by that. I go there a lot. And I don't know if he had any greens, but he did have cauliflower. He roasted things for vegans and vegetarians, so there was something for everyone. And that was a wonderful thing to do. And it was paid for by an anonymous donation from someone that thought they deserved it. So it was a good thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Administrators report, anything to add?
I was just going to thank the Board of Commissioners for attending a committee of the whole this morning. For any of the public that was interested, the committee of the whole was to focus on the first step in strategic planning. Jim Hettinger was here. That meeting is posted onto YouTube, and there will be a whole lot more work coming related to strategic planning. Those are my comments. Thanks.
Thank you. We're now at general public comments. Anything under the sun in 2 minutes or less.
Chair, Pipestone Township. Just a word or two about the public health department and such. I've had my shot, of course, but charging my insurance company $40 is not gonna make me happy because they're gonna charge it back to me or whatever. And so, you know, I'm not for that at all. And plus, the health department gets a grant to start to function every year, which is a pretty large chunk of money to operate. Well, what does that consist of? If they charge us for everything that they do, and they get more grant money, then it seems like they always hire more people. And so what is the real function of the health department for the public? When we're getting charged for everything that they do, or every time they get a grant, then they hire more people to spend the grant money. The concept of the health department, as far as I'm concerned, is not really good. Okay, so much for that. Farm machinery. This morning on my way here, I'm coming over the hill and there's a tractor going in front of me. And I look at my rear view mirror and here comes a car, lickety split, over the hill. And coming the other way is a oversized truck with a flashing light on. There's absolutely nowhere I could go. But anyway, we didn't get in any big accident, but we almost had one. I can also show you some pictures of it from last year where the pickup truck skidded across my driveway to avoid a tractor and some implements and almost ended up in the creek. You know, so you're right, something needs to be done with this farm machinery on these country roads. And we had a proposal in Pipestone Township one time to make pull-offs every mile. So that these farm equipment could pull off the road and people could get by them. County, as far as our master plan, we worked with Williams and Works in Pipestone Township, doing our master plan. And now we're working on a wind ordinance and a solar ordinance. And we're asking the county, what do you got? I don't know if there is anything in your master plan for wind ordinances or solar ordinances. So it is something that needs to be looked at. I'm willing to help. I'm on the planning commission in Pipestone Township, but that doesn't mean that we're moving on the pot. Anyhow, I'm willing to help as far as because we've got to come up with something and we haven't got a clue when it comes to wind ordinances and solar. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sheriff. Tony, you're it in terms of any potential public comments. Did you have anything you wanted to say? No? Okay. All right, then we have finished public comment.
I'll be nice today.
All right. Other business.
Mac? I think this is the most important part of the entire agenda today is I'd like to take the opportunity to wish Annette a happy birthday. It's her 25th birthday today. And I'd like to wish her a happy birthday and thank you for everything you do. And Mr. Chair, that's all I got.
That begs the question then, Mr. Chairman.
Sir.
To the county administrator, where's the cake?
I think it's at her house.
You pass that along. It's in the mail, I think. Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Getting us back on track on the business of the board, I would like to make a motion that we have staff from the presentation that we had for the committee of the whole, that we have staff coordinate efforts. Oh, is that you? No, I won't take your thunder. Go for it. You do it.
There's your.
That we
authorize and direct.
Yes, sir. That we authorize and direct staff to work with, is this the acronym of Jim's business? So JHUD.
J HUD's LLC.
J HUD's LLC, thank you. And then Williams and Work to prioritize and coordinate the community survey activity that was discussed for planning and strategic planning and the master plan.
And that is your motion?
Yes, as muddy as it was.
Okay.
I'll support that.
Supported by Jim. Will you give the clerk that little yellow pad note there? Any discussion about it? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. I'd say that's unanimous. Anybody have any other business? Yes, ma'am.
I would like to ask Annette, do you have anything for us, commissioners?
Do I have anything for you?
Like some tickets?
I was gonna chat with you individually after the meeting.
Okay.
For Shadowland?
Yes.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, Annette, I would like my tickets to go to Mamie. Thank you.
I don't need a whole lot of them this time.
I don't know.
You
called me.
Terry.
Whatever, thank you. It'll work out.
Mr. Chair, I neglected to put this in my commissioner report, but I think it's still appropriate in other business. A number of us commissioners joined some of the court staff on Friday of last week, walking to the law enforcement memorial in memory of Ron and Joe. I know last week we took a moment to pause in silence. And I just know the impact that it has had on our staff and on this county. And so I just wanted to take a moment to recognize that event.
Thank you very much. Anyone have any? Yes.
Mr. Chair, I've got a question. We have talked about this before, and it seemed like really nothing got done. John, thank you for bringing that up again today. That is a huge concern of mine also, is the road rage, if you want to call it, against farmers and their farm equipment. And really, we should take a look at, as this board, I believe we should take a look at, we have to do something. By doing nothing at all, it's not going to go away. And I don't know what we could do. And I don't know whether we need to sit down with the sheriff or whatever, put a task force or an ad hoc committee together to try and come up with something. But I think this needs to be in the highlight right now, because soon is going to be coming a harvest season. And if we can do something before that or get a plan of attack, I just don't want this to go by the wayside. Thank you, sir.
As a follow-up to that statement, a week ago, the sheriff connected with the admin committee as well as the road department to put together a temporary traffic control order to assist with Niles Road detour routes. And part of that action was driven by concerns about safety for motorists as well as for farm traffic. I can tell you that just in the last 24 hours, our elected sheriff has been actively working to push the state of Michigan to assist with controlling that traffic and ensuring that it's safe. Based on the comments from today's meeting, I'll follow up with the undersheriff and the sheriff to report concerns from last Friday's surprise event. MDOT had a major cleanup on the interstate, which then pushed I-94 as well as I-196 traffic onto the county roads. It was an absolute mess Friday afternoon, and it affected all of the county. Now, with that said, it was one that I was with the sheriff when he got the call about the accident on the interstate, and I watched as he mobilized his people to get out there to enforce. I'll connect with the sheriff and undersheriff today to report the comments that were offered at today's committee of the whole, as well as your comments, sir, and see if we can ask the staff there to come and talk with the admin committee about the efforts underway for the Niles Road detour, as well as what happened last Friday. I'll follow up on that immediately. Yep.
John.
different topic, back to the survey. As it pertains to that survey, will there be a campaign to talk to all the local municipalities on the survey to get them to, to get them to fill out that collectively, to try to prepare a response so that we can get a, from how many municipalities we got? 39 different municipalities. Because to me, if we could get that information back from them.
Yep.
After that survey is prepared, and it's important for all the citizens to know as well, as many as will contribute to that. But if we could get that from the municipalities and then can get some type of a campaign to get that done, that would go I think a very long way in trying to determine what the needs of the county are, try to segment it that way, so.
It's an excellent suggestion, and yes, it'll happen. I'll make sure that as staff that we're connecting with each village hall, township hall, and city hall to ensure that we go out and seek their input from the local units.
All right, good. Anyone else? Announcements, reminders. We are on the regular schedule next week.
What is that?
8:35 a.m. for Committee of the Whole. And those of us who have that baked into our phone won't have to call the administrator en route and say, I forgot we're meeting at 8 o'clock this morning.
Yeah.
I was planning to be early today, but anyway. So 8:35 next week. And we'll just have time to get used to that, and then we'll take a week off. Because we're not going to meet on the 29th unless there's some major hailstorm or something that causes us to meet. Otherwise, we're not. So if nobody has anything else, we're adjourned to next week at 8:35. Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Give us a little.